Well, I can tell you 17% of all the illegals that come into Arizona already have a criminal record in Arizona. This isn't 5,000 people. Try 30, 40, 50,000 people each and every year. And this is why crime and criminal activity is directly connected to our lack of full safety here in Arizona.
I think we have to understand that the immigration problem that we have, the illegal immigration problem that we have, is a national one, and a state-by-state solution to it is not the way in which we ought to go.
It's a federal responsibility, but it's our problem, and we live in it. This is a state law. Now Phoenix can't opt out, Mesa can't opt out, Chandler can't opt out because their police chief says, hey, that's not our job, that's the federal government's job. Now it is our job.
Certainly one of the concerns that I have, that you will end up in a situation where people are racially profiled.
It would be helpful at the onset of this discussion if we didn't have people who haven't even read the law start planting a picture of a father and his daughter or son walking hand in hand down Main Street with an ice cream cone and say that a cop is going to stop that Hispanic male just because he's walking down the street Hispanic. Over 200 of my employees and a lot of my leaders are Hispanic or Latino. A third of my county is. We don't do that. If we send troops to the border, continue building the fence that President Obama suspended, and then have streamline, which means no more catch and release, you're prosecuted. That's what needs to happen.
That could lead to a wedge drawn between certain communities and law enforcement, which leads to the problem of people in those communities not willing to interact with people in law enforcement, not willing to share information, not willing to be witnesses where law enforcement needs them.
Already it's a part of their culture that they do not trust the police. They do not report most crimes to the police in their home country. So this is an issue that's already there. Look, even our law enforcement leaders, it wasn't but a year ago I was a street cop myself, and a lot of these law enforcement leaders forget where they started. We're protectors of our families. This is an issue we cannot ignore, and that there has to be uniformity in enforcement, and that's what we're going to do here.
The concern I have is how it will be perceived and how it perhaps could be enacted, how it could be carried out. I think you potentially get on a slippery slope where people will be picked on because of how they look as opposed to what they have done, and that is, I think, something that we have to try to avoid at all costs.
We wouldn't even be having this discussion if the federal government had just done their job.
I think you have to think about the collateral consequences of such a law, understanding the frustration that people feel in Arizona. It's one of the reasons why I think we have to have a national solution to this immigration problem.
How long you been on the job? Let me tell you something. Someday when you get the backs of those ears dried out, you might wake up and see how important your job really is. Take a look at your partner over there. Now, apparently you haven't been listening to him, or you don't want to. You got a real large problem, son. You worry more about yourself than what goes on around you. Do me a favor, will you? Sit back and take a real hard look. Look at the victims of these crimes and try to have a little empathy. It might do you some good. That's what we're all here for, to serve these people. Now, if you can't see it that way, maybe you better look for some other kind of job. I'm sure the department can spare you. Try to learn something from your partner. He'll teach you if you listen. He understands his job, you don't. Now, do me a small favor, will you? Do what your partner told you to do.